It was April of 1917 when the United States entered World War I, after 2.5 years of President Woodrow Wilson's efforts to keep the United States neutral. A few months later in June, the Espionage Act of 1917 passed. The act intended to prohibit interference with military operations or recruitment, and to prevent the support of U.S. enemies during wartime. The United States entry in World War I caused deep divisions in society and was strongly opposed, largely by those on the radical left and those with ties to Germany and Ireland. Charles Schenck was a member of the Executive Committee of the Socialist Party in Philadelphia, of which he was General Secretary. Schenck oversaw the printings and mailings of more than 15,000 leaflets to men that were drafted during World War I. The leaflets urged men not to submit themselves to the draft, saying, "Assert your rights and do not submit to intimidation. And if you do not assert your rights, you are helping to deny or disparage rights which it is the solemn duty of all citizens and residents of the United States to retain." The leaflets suggested that military conscriptions constituted involuntary servitude, which is prohibited by the 13th Amendment. Schenck was charged by the U.S. government with violating the Espionage Act. The government alleged that he violated the act by conspiring to cause insubordination in the military and naval forces of the United States. Schenck responded that the Espionage Act violated the First Amendment, which forbids Congress from making any law abridging the freedom of speech. Charles Schenck was found guilty on all charges. The U.S. Supreme Court reviewed Schenck's conviction on appeal. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, Jr. wrote the majority opinion for a unanimous court. Holmes was known as the Great Dissenter for his articulate minority opinions. He served in the Supreme Court for 30 years until he was 90 years old. He wrote more than 2,400 opinions and is generally considered one of America's greatest justices. Holmes' unanimous opinion held that Schenck's conviction was constitutional. The court maintained that Charles Schenck fully intended to threaten the draft because his flyers were designed to precisely have that effect. Holmes' opinion reads, "The most stringent protection of free speech would not protect a man in falsely shouting fire in a theater and causing a panic. The question in every case is whether the words used are used in such circumstances and are of such a nature as to create a clear and present danger that will bring about the substantive evils that has right to prevent." Charles Schenck was sent to 6 months in prison.